In this little video, I'm going to be removing basically a brass motor pulley from a motor. I am going to take this motor apart, and first I want to go ahead and get the pulley off. I'm going to try to heat it with a hot air gun, and if not, I'm going to use a soldering iron. So let me get everything heated up. So I got it off. It took a little bit of intensive heating up with the heat gun, but it actually came out. Now looking down in here, seems to be like there's some kind of a glue or something in there. So I'm gonna have to put a dab of maybe hot glue on there when I put it back together. So I had already taken this back cover off at an earlier time, and I think how I did it then, I think I just put a screwdriver there, or I use this here, and then I just put it in there and twist it up. That's how this thing came out. So there's not too much to this thing. I think I can put a tiny dab of oil down here where the shaft rides on this bearing, and I can put a real little bit of oil there, and then put the thing back together. That's about all I can do with it. Another thing I have to mention, in case I haven't already done so, these little arms right here, these are the contacts, or rather the brushes, and you got to be really careful with these things because they can be bent really easy. And this little piece here is where the tip of my tool is touching, is of course the commutator, and it's supposed to be nice and shiny, and well, it actually is. It's got a little tiny bit of markings on there, but it's probably just from the contacts dragging. If I were to clean it, say it was all blacked up or something, then I would probably get some really fine sandpaper and try to clean it. Gonna make sure I got it all back together right. These contacts here, they got to be in the right position there. And in order to get them in, because they're in the way when you put it back together, I just use a little toothpick and held the arms back. And here's how I put this thing back together. So you see I already got the commutator and the brushes down in there lined up. And of course I make sure my notch here is lined up with the indentation here. Of course there's a magnet here, then I try to get it as straight as possible. Going in here. Just like that. Okay, I got this. Looks like I got it back inside, and I just went ahead and took the pliers, and see it's got these little indentations down here, and just there's, of course, you know, watch it. There's like a little plastic shield up here, and then squeezed right here, and went around. Squeezed right there, and squeezed right there, and then it popped back into place. So put the rest back together. So now I put a little bit more machine oil right here again. Of course, before I put it back together, I had some on the other side, and now I got to take care. Looks like the wires are torn off. Somebody had been working on this motor before, so what I'm going to do is desolder this and run new pieces of wire. And this thing here, I think there was a ground or something like that, right? I think that was this right there. I'm going to run something there too. So here's the completed reassembled motor. I just tried it out with a power supply. It runs nice and quiet. The only problem you might have is when you put this plate back on, it might be prudent to put the whole thing in a vise here, and then take a little block of wood that's a little bit smaller than the diameter here, and tap this plate on. Also, what I should have did too, because this has an electronic speed control, and of course it's got a hole right there. What I should have did was, when I take this apart, I should have put a mark here and then a mark here on the other side. That way I would have known where to exactly line this up, which I didn't exactly do. So there was nothing much more I could do to this motor. I just oiled like both of the bearings, one here and one inside, one right here and one back in there, and it seems to have did this job. And this little thing here, I think this went on this plate like that. I gotta still solder that on, shorten it a little bit and solder that on. And I think this is it's about good to go.